Good instructions given by the ref in the early going. Mike gets it with the right hand, and ATN is down. He was really nailed with a front right hand. It's up to 5.
The boxing world is buzzing with anticipation as two of the sport's most talked about figures, Jake Paul and Mike Tyson, are set to face off in what promises to be a highly entertaining and contentious match. This fight pits the youthful energy and social media prowess of Jake Paul against the legendary status and raw power of Mike Tyson. With his 10th victory recently, Jake Paul may have quieted many of his critics. Since the start of his boxing career, doubts about the caliber of his opponents have lingered. Skepticism about Mike Perry's boxing experience and the size difference continue to arise. Nevertheless, it's impossible to ignore the significant draw that the problem child has become over the years.
Punches you were hitting him with, you are just so destructive.
Yeah, I don't know how he took all those, but
I knew that was going through your head as well.
I was like, bro, what the fuck? Just give it up, dude.
Yeah.
Just give it up. Or his corner just stopping the fight.
Yeah.
But I don't know. My arms are sore as today from all the punches and
well, you look great.
Putting the damage on him. Thank you, man.
Hey, where'd you find that left hand from?
Dude, we've been working on it.
What the hell? I said I'm standing there in the freaking second row. I'm watching. I'm looking. I'm like, Jake, you got a left now? You got a jab?
Yes,
and I'm
sir.
screaming, jab, jab, because you hit him with one of the jabs, really connected, like I think maybe round 3, something like that, in round 2, round 3, and you wobbled him with.
Driven by ambitions that surpass his 6-foot frame, the Ohioan is seeking ever greater challenges. It appears that the YouTuber-turned-boxer is now gaining support from unexpected sources, including some from the highest ranks of contemporary boxing. Terrence Crawford is just 10 days away from making his light middleweight debut against Israel Madrimov at BMO Stadium in Los Angeles. Eager to make his mark in a third-weight class, Crawford may also have his sights set on a loftier goal, Canelo Alvarez. This ambition might explain why he resonates with Jake Paul. In a recent episode of MMA Hour with Ariel Helwani, the former undisputed welterweight champion asserted that it's about time people start showing Jake Paul the respect he's earned. It appeared as though Bud Crawford was driving in Las Vegas. The obvious question, did you watch the Jake Paul fight on Saturday night, was then posed to him by Helwani. He did indeed see the match, and then came the next query. What did one of the best boxers in the world think of the bout? Despite a few minor issues like improving his stamina, the Nebraskan believes the Ohioan has significantly elevated his performance. He praised the latter's boxing skills, noting that unlike many other YouTube boxing enthusiasts, Jake Paul trains diligently and stays dedicated to the sport. Consequently, Paul improves daily. However, the Mike Tyson fight still looms ahead. Crawford, however, does not appear to be prepared to pay for the highly anticipated fight between a former YouTuber and a professional boxer. He claimed that Mike Tyson was no longer at his best, despite everything he had given to the sport. "I wouldn't want to see Mike go in the ring and get hurt in a fight," he said. Bud Crawford stated that the situation has become more complex due to the new medical issue. The future of the problem child was then the focus. Paul revealed his future ambitions, as Ariel Helwani pointed out. He may be aiming for a cruiserweight division bout or a championship fight. Terrence Crawford also maintained a positive outlook on what the Ohioan could achieve, highlighting his strong right hand. However, Crawford pointed out that Paul has been building his resume from the ground up, much like any other boxing prospect. He noted how sometimes established names try to capitalize on Jake Paul's popularity for fame and financial gain. According to Crawford, the problem child, like any other professional boxer, is gradually building his profile rather than immediately pursuing a title. Jake is still in the learning process, so you know he's taking his time, and that's what he should do. Take his time, keep getting better, keep learning new tricks and things like that in the ring, and keep getting more experience, said Terrence Crawford. When he's ready, he might eventually face a legitimate boxing match. In his opinion, the early years are essential for developing ring IQ, building stamina, and grasping the nuances of boxing. Only after this groundwork is laid can the boxer improve and advance to more significant fights. It's obvious that many Jake Paul fans may see this as a recipe for success. These opinions are very important because they originate from one of the greatest in the industry. Meanwhile, Joe Rogan held nothing back when predicting who would win between Mike and Jake. Tyson's age has been widely discussed, as he is 30 years older than Paul and hasn't fought in a professional match since 2005. However, UFC analyst Rogan has maintained that Tyson still possesses the abilities to destroy Paul. Rogan said on his eponymous podcast, "Just forget that Jake Paul is a YouTube guy and watch him fight. The kid can fight. 100%. That Tommy Fury fight really showed that. It goes to a split decision against a legit undefeated boxer." Talking about Mike Tyson, Rogan said, "I don't give a if he's 58, that's still Mike Tyson. He trains with Rafael Cordero, who's a legend in MMA. He runs King's Mixed Martial Arts. Rafael is a world-renowned trainer. When you see him holding the MITs for Tyson and Tyson is smashing the mitts, Jesus, that guy can still you up. Rogan mentioned that in today's world, with hormone replacement and vitamins, Mike Tyson uses electrical muscle stimulation recovery techniques. He noted that during Tyson's training for the fight with Roy Jones, state-of-the-art science was employed. Despite Tyson being 58 years old, Rogan believed he could still inflict significant harm. He suggested that if Jake Paul were to face Tyson in the ring and see him bobbing and weaving, Paul would have a moment of realization, thinking, "Oh my God, that's really Mike Tyson." He further added, "At this age, the power is the last thing to go, but the thing is, the speed is still there. It's terrifying. And I don't know what he did with Roy Jones Jr., but in my mind, they made some sort of agreement where Mike wasn't going to punch him in the face because most of the hits he hit him with, unless it was a jab, was to the body." Jake Paul secured a 6th-round knockout victory over Mike Perry, paving the way for his upcoming bout against Mike Tyson in November. However, the controversy surrounding this fight has intensified in recent days. As soon as the fight was announced, Paul faced intense criticism for considering a match against Tyson, who had just turned 58. In his prime, Tyson was renowned as one of the most formidable and feared fighters in the world. However, his peak years are long gone, with his last victory dating back to 2003, when he knocked out Clifford Etienne. Paul is a 27-year-old boxer with a 10-1 record, and despite his lackluster performance, his 7 knockout victories on his record suggest he is a dangerous fighter. Despite the potential drawbacks of the fight, former UFC welterweight champion Tyron Woodley, who has spent more time in the ring with Paul than anyone else, assures that it's a worthwhile endeavor. Woodley said on the Fighter Versus, The Writer podcast, "I'm a fan of the fight. Mike Tyson is almost 60, but are you trying to see Mike Tyson? So he's still got the same fear in your heart that he had a long time ago." Woodley anticipated getting a glimpse of the Tyson fight when he commented on Paul's victory over Perry this past weekend as a member of the broadcast team. Recognizing that Perry was the shorter, smaller fighter, Woodley expected the BKFC star to use a strategy akin to Tyson's approach to overcoming size disadvantages throughout his career. However, Perry ultimately couldn't utilize the same strategies as Tyson, which Woodley believes is what truly led to his defeat. Woodley said, "I know Mike Perry has been training that style before he even got to the UFC. I watched all his videos. I hear him talking about the Mike Tyson peekaboo style. What that means, as the person is punching, you're going to slip in and cover ground. You're going to buy real estate. So off of a jab, off of a cross, if you're good enough to see it and slip it, you have to be good enough to step inside as well." Woodley explained that Mike Tyson, being shorter than many of his opponents, relied heavily on hooking punches. In contrast, Mike Perry failed to slip and get inside, barely dodging any punches. As a result, he was repeatedly hit with jabs in a manner reminiscent of a rock'em sock'em fight. Woodley noted that Perry kept his hands very low and didn't effectively slip and step inside, leaving him unable to counter the jabs. Woodley believes Tyson doesn't face those same problems because his coaches essentially created that unique fighting style for him, which Tyson utilized throughout his career. While this style may not secure victories against today's top heavyweight boxers, it's still sufficient for dealing with a much less experienced opponent like Paul. Moreover, Woodley stated that Tyson had performed thousands, even tens of thousands, of the same drill, and that Cus D'Amato had trained him in a highly specific manner. Tyson was a machine trained for his unique body type, height, and attributes, particularly his power. A style was developed specifically for him, one that had not existed before. Woodley noted that even Tyson's hand positioning was unique. He kept his hands at his chin rather than high on his head because he could take a shot to the forehead without getting knocked out. When Tyson slipped offline, he would be at the perfect distance, a position Perry needed to reach. Woodley added, "But people watch it and just try to do it. But when you don't do the drills, you're missing steps. You're missing the small techniques. You're missing the minimal things that make it a major thing when you try to do it in real time." Mike Tyson has not forgotten that. Woodley believes that if Tyson can reconnect with those skills and unleash the same kind of vicious power that made him a formidable opponent early in his career, Paul could be in serious trouble. Woodley remarked that if Tyson has a flashback to a past fight and replicates that performance against Jake Paul, the fight would be over quickly. He suggested that the only reason Paul even has a chance is because of Tyson's age, making it a more balanced fight. Woodley noted that Paul's youth, his unpredictable nature, and Tyson's extensive experience, including 60 professional fights, world titles, and a reputation as one of the most feared combat athletes, contribute to this dynamic. He compared Tyson to John Jones, stating that while Jones is the best MMA fighter, he doesn't evoke the same fear as Tyson, who was intimidating even outside the ring with his pet tigers. Woodley concluded that it would be an interesting fight. Moreover, Woodley acknowledges that some fans, fighters, and boxing experts might be skeptical about Paul facing a 58-year-old Tyson, but he expects opinions to shift on fight night. While he is aware that Paul has the potential to win, Woodley warns that underestimating Tyson could be a grave mistake. He said, "I still think Mike Tyson has enough in him to knock Jake out. Could Jake win? Yeah, Jake would have to fight Mike Tyson the same way he fought about Mike Perry. Jab high, jab low, move. Because you remember, Mike Tyson has his hands right. He's not going to change that for this fight. So when you jab right in the middle of these two gloves, at the very minimum, it's going to push Mike back. Pushing him back keeps him out of that range that Tyson needs to get into. Jake Paul's fights have garnered significant attention, leading many to scrutinize whether the problem child is genuinely making an impact or simply creating a facade. This scrutiny continues with his most recent bout, where he secured a stoppage victory against the bare-knuckle fighting legend Mike Perry. The result and performance have led Darren Till, a former UFC title contender who was initially set to face Julio Cesar Chavez on the undercard of Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson, to make an accusation. Till has stepped away from high-level competition, evident from his recent bout against the well-known influencer Mohamed Moutier, which escalated into a messy brawl. The outspoken Englishman appeared on a new episode of Submission Radio, where he shared his views on the Jake Paul versus Mike Perry fight. Till mentioned on Submission Radio that the fight felt unusual and seemed almost fake. He noted that Mike Perry had been dominating his opponents in BKFC, but observed that despite Jake Paul being significantly heavier and strong, it didn't seem right that Paul was gassing out after just one round. Till admitted that the situation didn't look normal to him and suspected that others might share the same view.
I'm going to be honest, it was a weird fight. It was a weird fight between them. It feels like it's all fake. I'm not going to lie.
You felt like it was a bit scripted, like it was predetermined?
Yeah, I do.
What was it about the fight? Was it just the way that Mike looked, or the way it played out, or?
Perry, sorry.
That's all good.
Perry's been beating all these guys, like literally beating the living daylights out of them. Now I get it, Jake Paul's 40 pounds heavier than a big, strong guy. He can punch Jake as well. We've got to give him his due. And he is improving. But like Jake was gassing after one round, and it was just like, it just didn't look normal to me. I'm going to be honest with you. It didn't look normal. And I bet you there's a few other people thinking the same thing.
This isn't the first time Jake Paul's knockouts have faced scrutiny. Numerous self-styled YouTube analysts analyzed Paul's 2021 Knockout of the Year win against former UFC champion Tyron Woodley. However, when Quinton Rampage Jackson, the former UFC champ turned podcaster, directly questioned Woodley about it, Woodley asserted that he is too principled to take a dive for money. Another notable Paul victory that came under scrutiny afterward was his bout against Anderson Silva, the greatest UFC middleweight of all time. While Paul possesses knockout power with every punch he throws, the conclusion of the Paul Silva fight has sparked some doubts, as analyzed by the Schaub Show. A fight between Paul and Till seems like a no-brainer. Both fighters are skilled with their words and have similar physiques. While Paul has sometimes been criticized for his size advantage over smaller MMA opponents, taking on Till could help silence his online critics and appease combat sports analysts. Paul made a bold move by challenging the UFC's current top star, Alex Pereira, following his impressive victory over Mike Perry. While a match between them would be highly exciting, it's improbable due to Pereira's contract constraints and the strained relationship between Paul and UFC CEO Dana White. On the other hand, a bout between Paul and Darren Till, a former UFC fighter, seems much more plausible. Darren Till expressed that Jake Paul was fortunate not to face him in the ring, as he would inflict serious damage. Till acknowledged his respect for Paul and his brother as businessmen and for Paul's dedication to boxing. However, he asserted that his technical skills would overwhelm Paul. Moreover, Till believed it would take him about 3 rounds to figure Paul out, after which he would systematically dismantle him. He stated that his strategy wouldn't necessarily be to knock Paul out, but to wear him down and make him want to quit, emphasizing that he had already planned out his approach.
You are so lucky that you will not fight me, because I would punch holes in Jake Paul. Listen, I respect so much the businessman that him and his brother are. Like, major respect. I respect the fact that he's actually dedicated his whole life to boxing. I respect a lot of things, but I would seriously injure Jake Paul in a ring. I'd just be too technically tactical for him. Like, there's a thing you sort of get over years of what like you do when I do, like, you know, Izzy, Pereira, you know, Anderson Silvas, your Wonder Boys, your Whitakers. And it's not necessarily the shots we throw, it's the setups and the technical aspect behind it. And I'd lead them into stuff. You wouldn't even know what was happening. And I'd piece them up. It'd take me about 3 rounds to figure them out. And then I'd piece them up to bits. And I probably wouldn't even try and knock them out. I'd just hit them. Boom, 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 boom. don't just make him want to get out of there.
After stopping Mike Perry, Jake Paul has said that he will take on Mike Tyson. Paul compelled the referee to stop the match in the 6th round, which was intended to substitute for the Tyson fight following a health scare that sidelined the former heavyweight world champion. But even after admitting he had alternatives to Tyson, Paul contacted Iron Mike and confirmed the fight's date. Paul said, "Mike Tyson, your next big boy. Sign the contract. The 15th of November on Netflix. 100% it's happening." Paul also gave an update on Tyson's preparation for the bout. He said, "He's training and looking crazier than ever, Netflix. I'll prove everybody wrong. Everybody said I was making a mistake with this fight against Perry, but I take risks." Paul subsequently acknowledged that he had been injured in the lead-up to the fight with Perry, but he downplayed any worries that the bout with Tyson may be postponed. He said, "I didn't feel very good tonight. I was sick before and my knuckle is swollen. It was basically broken before the fight. It didn't delay this fight, so why would it delay the Tyson fight? I'm a warrior." Paul then shared another message for Tyson. He said, "Mike, I love you, but this is my sport now. You're a legend. You're one of the 2 most famous boxers to ever lived, alongside Muhammad Ali, so I'm honored to share a ring with you, but I want to take your throne." Meanwhile, Tyson said in a press release, "Although we had to postpone the fight, I will resume training shortly. I am thankful to the medical staff that treated me. While we have a new date, the result will be the same no matter when we fight. Jake Paul is getting knocked out." On Friday, November 15th, watch this in person at AT&T Stadium or live on Netflix. When Tyson experienced a mid-flight ulcer flare-up, appeals were made for passengers with medical expertise to help. After the plane landed, paramedics boarded, causing a delay of approximately 25 minutes before passengers could disembark. One of the most well-known heavyweight champions in boxing history, Tyson last competed in an exhibition match in 2020, where he drew with Roy Jones Jr. The American's fight against Paul will be a legally recognized professional match. He hasn't competed professionally since 2005. Whether you and your pals like him or not, you can't seem to stop betting on him. In the boxing world, YouTuber-turned-fighter Jake Paul has been a strange phenomena. According to betting data exclusively obtained by The Post, he may be the biggest star in the sport right now. ESPN Bet's senior vice president and head of sportsbook, Patrick J. said, "With several fights under his belt, it's clear that Jake Paul moves the needle. Jake Paul's fights average 17x more bets and 13x higher handle per event than standard boxing events. Compared to championship boxing events, Jake Paul fights take in an average of 2.5x more bets and 2.5x higher handle." With Paul scheduled to fight Mike Tyson on November 15th at AT&T Stadium in Dallas, things can only get larger from here. "We would expect Jake Paul-Mike Tyson to be the most bet boxing match in BetMGM history," Seamus Magee, trading manager at BetMGM, told The Post. In the history of DraftKings and BetMGM, Paul's victory over Mike Perry on July 20th, who was a stand-in for the injured Tyson, was the 14th most betted-on boxing bout. In terms of the total amount gambled on boxing fights in DraftKings history, 5 of Paul's bouts rank among the top 20, and 1 is among the top 5. On the list of money gambled on boxing fights, his fight against Anderson Silva is ranked 20th, his victory over Nate Diaz is ranked 4th, his matchup with Tommy Fury is ranked 18th, and his fight with Ben Askren is ranked 19th. Jake Paul's emergence into boxing has helped elevate a sport that had been consistently declining in popularity, Johnny Avello, director of sports operations for DraftKings, told The Post. Avello added, "As he continues to get more experience and improve, he also becomes more legitimate to both boxing fans and bettors. His fights have drawn strong betting activity, and we're certainly looking forward to his upcoming match with Mike Tyson." Former world champion and current boxing analyst Timothy Bradley is confident that Tyson will emerge victorious. Bradley highlighted Tyson's significant power and extensive experience as key factors in his knockout prediction. He also indicated that the fight's format will play to the heavyweight champion's strengths. Bradley said, "Mike Tyson, knock his ass out, baby. It can happen. 2 minutes is going to favor Mike Tyson, banging him to the body, hitting him with power shots. He has the potential to knock this man out. The power is the last thing to leave you. 2 minutes. That's all it takes to knock Disney Boy the hell out." Make sure to check out some of our other videos on the screen if you enjoyed this one.